Welcome back to the channel, USA Coins 69, something extraordinary, something that collectors chase after and treasure for years. Today, we're diving deep into one such fascinating piece from the United States of America, the Lincoln 1-cent coin from 2009 with a mint mark. At first glance, it looks like just another penny that you might pass along in your daily change without a second thought. But, as history and collectors' passion remind us, this little coin carries with it stories, varieties, and the possibility of being worth far more than a single cent. The year 2009 was a special one in the history of the Lincoln penny. It wasn't just another year of production, it marked the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and to honor this great leader, the United States Mint introduced 4 different reverse designs, each capturing different stages of his life. These designs featured scenes from his humble beginnings in Kentucky, his formative years in Indiana, his professional journey in Illinois, and finally, his presidency in Washington, D.C. For collectors, this made the 2009 pennies instantly more interesting than most modern issues, as each coin told a different chapter of Lincoln's story. But when it comes to coin collecting, the real excitement often begins with the details. Mint marks, condition, and even the tiniest production errors can turn a regular coin into a rare and valuable treasure. The 2009 Lincoln pennies were struck in massive quantities at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, marked with either no mint mark or a D beneath the date. For most people, these coins circulated freely, mixed into jars, purses, and pocket change across the country. Yet hidden among them are coins with unique features that collectors covet. Some of these rare 2009 Lincoln pennies feature double dies, off-center strikes, or other minting anomalies that make them stand out from the rest. Others achieve their value from being preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition. Collectors will pay a premium for coins graded at the highest levels by professional grading services, because these coins represent the finest surviving examples from their year. Imagine finding a coin that most people would spend without hesitation, but yours has a perfectly sharp strike, no scratches, and the glossy finish of a coin that looks as though it was just struck yesterday. That alone can raise its value dramatically, but there's more. The 2009 Lincoln pennies also represent a moment of transition. They were struck in both the familiar zinc composition with a copper coating, but also in limited quantities for collectors in a bronze alloy more similar to the classic pennies of the past. That small change in metal composition creates another layer of intrigue, making some coins more desirable depending on where and how they were minted. Collectors know that the thrill of the hunt lies in the possibility that any pocket change could contain a hidden gem. A penny that most would ignore could actually be the key to a small fortune if it has the right mint mark, the right condition, or the right error. It's this very possibility that keeps treasure hunters scanning through rolls of coins from the bank, carefully inspecting coins under magnifying glasses, and eagerly bidding at auctions. So the next time you see a 2009 Lincoln penny with a mint mark, don't just brush it off as spare change. Look closely. Check the details. Examine the coin carefully for any unusual characteristics that might set it apart. A coin minted in that year might just be the one that collectors have been searching for, and you could be the lucky person who holds it in your hand without even realizing it. Today, we focus on a remarkable piece from the United States of America, the 1981 Lincoln 1-cent coin with a mint mark. While it might seem like just another penny resting at the bottom of your pocket or tucked away in a jar, the truth is that some of these coins are worth far more than 1 cent, and one very special example has proven to be a true gem in the world of numismatics. The year 1981 was an interesting moment in the history of the Lincoln cent. It was one of the very last years that the penny was struck in its traditional copper alloy of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin. Just the following year, in 1982, the composition of the Lincoln penny shifted dramatically to a mostly zinc core with just a thin copper plating, a change that coin collectors often use as a dividing line between classic and modern pennies. This means that the 1981 Lincoln cent was not just another penny, it was one of the final representatives of an era, giving it a special place in the hearts of collectors. Produced at multiple mints, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, the 1981 pennies carry their distinct mint marks, or, in the case of Philadelphia issues, no mint mark at all. The D mark for Denver and the S for San Francisco are what collectors eagerly look for, especially in uncirculated condition or with unusual traits. While billions of 1981 pennies rolled off the presses, as with all coins, some rare varieties slipped through the cracks, and those are the coins that make people stop, stare, and dream of hidden fortunes. What makes certain 1981 pennies stand out is often a combination of rarity, condition, and striking anomalies. Error coins are especially exciting in this series. Collectors have discovered doubled dies, coins struck off-center, weak strikes, and even a few rare proof coins with unusual details. These errors are not just accidents, they are the quirks of history that give a coin personality and immense value. A penny that looks unusual to the naked eye may actually be one of the rarest examples to exist. Another factor that pushes the value of a 1981 penny higher is condition. Coins that are preserved in pristine, mint-state grades can skyrocket in value, even if they don't have an error. When a coin is graded by a professional grading service and receives one of the top designations, such as MS67 or higher, collectors are willing to pay a premium for it. Imagine finding a coin minted in 1981 that still looks as fresh as the day it was struck, with crisp details on Lincoln's portrait, smooth fields, and no signs of wear. That's the kind of coin that can turn a humble 1-cent piece into something highly valuable. It's also important to remember that pennies like the 1981 edition connect us to a larger story. Abraham Lincoln's image has appeared on the penny since 1909, when the coin was first introduced to honor the centennial of his birth. Every Lincoln penny minted since then carries with it not just economic value, but cultural and historical importance. Holding a 1981 penny is like holding the last breath of the full copper era, a reminder of how coins evolve just as the country itself evolves. Collectors and treasure hunters know that every coin has a story waiting to be told. That's why so many people spend hours searching through rolls of pennies from the bank, scanning their change with a magnifying glass, and studying the tiniest details of each coin they find. A regular penny might buy you next to nothing in today's world, but the right penny could open doors to opportunities and wealth you never expected. That's the thrill of coin collecting. It's not just about the value, it's about the hunt, the history, and the hope that one day you'll uncover a hidden treasure. So the next time you come across a penny from 1981, don't just toss it aside. Look carefully at the mint mark under the date. Check for unusual doubling in the lettering, inspect whether the strike looks off, and notice if the coin has an unusually sharp or pristine finish. You never know what might be staring back at you. While the majority of these coins are only worth their face value, some rare examples with the right mint mark, error, or exceptional condition have fetched staggering amounts in the collector's market. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating story of this coin, the details you need to know about it, and why some lucky collectors have found themselves holding a coin that turned out to be a treasure in disguise. So, grab your cup of coffee, get comfortable, and let's explore the incredible world of rare American coins. The year 1976 was a special one in American history. It marked the nation's bicentennial, celebrating 200 years since the Declaration of Independence. While quarters, half dollars, and dollars received special bicentennial designs featuring iconic symbols of America, the humble penny remained unchanged. It still carried the classic Abraham Lincoln design on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. But even without a commemorative change, certain 1976 pennies have turned into treasures because of their mint marks, striking errors, and unique variations. These details can make the difference between a penny that's only worth a cent and one that collectors are willing to pay tens of thousands of dollars for. When looking at a 1976 Lincoln penny, one of the first things to notice is the mint mark. The mint mark is a small letter on the coin just below the date. It tells us where the coin was made, whether it was minted in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. Most pennies from Philadelphia that year had no mint mark at all, while the ones from Denver carried a small D, and those from San Francisco featured an S. Now, while millions were struck at these facilities, not every coin came out perfectly. That's where things get exciting for collectors. Errors in coin production are one of the main reasons why a common coin can suddenly become extremely valuable. For example, some 1976 Lincoln pennies are known to have been struck on the wrong type of metal planchet. Instead of the regular copper alloy, a few were mistakenly struck on experimental or leftover materials. Others display double die errors, where the design was accidentally stamped more than once, leaving noticeable doubling in the lettering, date, or even Lincoln's features. Such mistakes might seem minor, but to collectors, they're like rare jewels, highly sought after and commanding big money at auctions. Another detail to pay attention to is the coin's condition. Collectors use a grading scale to measure how well preserved a coin is, ranging from circulated examples with scratches and wear to mint-state specimens that look like they just came out of the press. The better the condition, the higher the value. A 1976 penny in poor shape might only be worth a few cents to a collector, but one that has survived in pristine condition without scratches, discoloration, or marks can be valued at thousands. Combine that with a rare mint error, and suddenly you're looking at a coin worth more than you ever imagined. Think about it. How many times have you seen a penny from the 1970s and brushed it aside, thinking it wasn't worth much? Yet hidden among those ordinary coins could be one of the rare error strikes that collectors dream about. That's the beauty of coin collecting: history, artistry, and a touch of luck, all wrapped up in something as simple as a 1-cent coin. Now, let's not forget about the historical context. The 1976 Lincoln penny connects us to an era of American pride, when the nation was celebrating its 200th birthday. Millions of coins passed through people's hands as they bought goods, traveled, or tucked them into savings jars. Owning a 1976 penny today is like holding a piece of that bicentennial spirit in your palm. And if that penny happens to be one of the rare, valuable ones, then it's not just a symbol of history, it's also a symbol of unexpected wealth. Collectors across the country and around the world are constantly searching for these rare treasures, attending coin shows, auctions, and carefully examining their pocket change. That's why it's important for you to always keep an eye on the small details: the mint mark, the year, any signs of doubling in the letters or numbers, or even unusual colors that could hint at a striking error. You never know when you might be holding onto a coin that others would pay a fortune to own. And now comes the part you've been waiting for: the true value of one of these special Lincoln pennies. While most 1976 pennies are only worth face value or just a bit more to collectors, the rarest varieties, with mint mark errors and pristine condition, have reached extraordinary prices at auction. In fact, one of these 1976 Lincoln pennies with a mint mark and unique characteristics was valued at an astounding $81,000. Today we're talking about one of the most fascinating coins in United States history, the Lincoln 1-cent penny from the year 1974 with its mint mark, a coin that many people still dismiss as just spare change but which could actually turn out to be worth an incredible amount of money if you have the right one in your collection. These coins, although struck in the millions, hold secrets that only collectors and experts truly understand, and that is what makes the hunt for rare coins so thrilling. Let's step back in time for a moment. The year was 1974. The Vietnam War was still ongoing, Watergate was brewing, and the American people were facing a period of uncertainty. In the midst of all of this, the Lincoln cent continued to quietly circulate in the pockets of everyday Americans. Designed originally by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to celebrate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the penny had already become a national icon, with Lincoln's familiar profile staring proudly to the right. But in the 1970s, something interesting happened with these little coins. Because of rising copper prices, there was great concern at the U.S. Mint that the cost of producing a penny might soon exceed its face value. This led to experiments with different metals and a close watch on the production of 1-cent coins during this time. The 1974 penny still carried the traditional composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc, giving it that deep reddish-brown color we often associate with older pennies. However, collectors know that small differences make all the difference in value. A tiny mint mark under the date could turn an ordinary coin into something truly special. These mint marks, whether it's the D for Denver, S for San Francisco, or sometimes no mint mark at all which indicates Philadelphia, help determine rarity, survival rates, and collector demand. The hunt for rare varieties, double dies, off-center strikes, transitional metals, and unusual minting errors, creates excitement and gives ordinary-looking coins incredible value. what makes the 1974 penny so interesting is the mix of experimentation and tradition. While most were struck in copper, a small number of experimental aluminum cents were produced that year as a test, though nearly all were destroyed by the mint. But rumors and legends persist about survivors, fueling collector dreams. Even within the standard copper issues, unusual strikes, mint errors, and pristine conditions make certain 1974 pennies worth far more than their humble face value. Collectors often ask, how can a coin as common as a 1974 penny be worth thousands of dollars? The answer lies in condition, rarity, and demand. Coins graded at the very top levels, such as MS-67 or MS-68, are so hard to find that collectors will pay huge sums to add one to their sets. Minting errors like double dies or dramatic off-center strikes also attract strong bids at auctions. And when you combine those qualities with historical significance and the enduring popularity of the Lincoln series, you have the perfect recipe for a valuable coin hiding in plain sight. So the next time you're sorting through an old jar of pennies, or maybe checking the change you get from the grocery store, pay close attention to that little date of 1974 and look carefully under it for the mint mark. Study the coin closely for sharp details, luster, or unusual features. What may look like just another old penny could actually be a treasure waiting to be discovered. Many coin collectors have built their collections by starting with simple pocket change finds just like this, and you never know when one coin might change your life. And here's the amazing part, while most 1974 pennies are only worth a cent or a few dollars in circulated condition, certain rare examples, with just the right mint mark, pristine condition, or rare error, have sold for astonishing amounts. One of the most extraordinary finds ever recorded was a 1974 Lincoln penny with a mint mark that reached the jaw-dropping value of $73,000. Today, coins that have passed through countless hands, vending machines, and cash registers, and suddenly you notice a date that seems almost ordinary, 1978. At first glance, it looks like just another old Lincoln penny, a coin that most people would ignore without a second thought. But what if I told you that this little 1-cent coin from the United States of America, struck in 1978, could hold a hidden surprise that makes it worth far, far more than a single cent? Yes, tucked inside the world of coin collecting are stories of pennies that ordinary people discover and later realize are worth life-changing amounts of money. The 1978 Lincoln cent with its mint mark is one of those coins that deserves a closer look, because while most are common, some rare examples carry incredible value. Let's dive into the history to really appreciate why this coin is so special. The Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for nearly 70 years by 1978, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it was the very first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure rather than a symbolic representation of liberty. That design decision made it iconic right away, and over time, the penny became the most recognized coin in America. By the late 1970s, inflation was changing the way people looked at money, and the penny, still made primarily of copper at that time, was actually costing the U.S. Mint more and more to produce. Just a few years later, in 1982, the mint would switch from a mostly copper composition to zinc with just a thin copper coating. But in 1978, these coins were still struck in 95% copper and 5% zinc, giving them a heavier, richer feel compared to modern pennies. The mint mark is another key to understanding the value of these coins. Underneath the date, you'll find either no mint mark, which means it was struck in Philadelphia, D for Denver, or an S for San Francisco. Each mint had different production numbers, and collectors carefully study survival rates, quality, and special varieties from each location. While hundreds of millions of pennies were made in 1978, not all were created equal. Tiny variations, such as double dies, repunched mint marks, or off-center strikes, can make some of these coins incredibly desirable to collectors. Even a penny with sharp details, blazing original luster, and no signs of wear can command impressive premiums when graded by professional services. Think about it, millions of people spent these coins without ever knowing that some carried hidden rarity. These little 1-cent pieces passed through pockets, purses, and piggy banks, but only a fraction of them survived in pristine condition. That's why today, collectors are willing to pay so much for high-grade examples or error coins. It's like treasure hunting in plain sight, finding value where almost everyone else sees nothing more than a penny. The thrill of coin collecting lies in this very possibility. Anyone can stumble upon a rare coin without realizing it at first. Maybe you inherited a small coin collection from a relative, or maybe you keep change in a drawer without ever checking the dates. Inside that mix could be something extraordinary. That's why coin enthusiasts always say, check your change, because you never know when you'll come across a piece of history worth thousands of dollars. The 1978 Lincoln cent tells that story beautifully. Most examples may only be worth a cent or a little more, but when you factor in rare mint errors, special varieties, or coins preserved in immaculate mint state condition, their value can rise dramatically. And for the rarest finds of all, the ones that collectors compete for at auction, the price can soar to levels most people would never believe possible for a penny. So here's the big surprise. While a typical 1978 penny is just an everyday coin, certain examples with a mint mark, perfect preservation, or unusual minting features have been valued by collectors and sold for staggering sums. One such Lincoln 1-cent penny from 1978 reached an astonishing price of $76,000. Do you want me to now make a powerful YouTube description with emojis and SEO-rich tags for this script so it's fully optimized for your channel?